Hey guys, this is Daniel with PwnCNC, and I'm here to talk about one of our new products. This is a basic CA glue with an activator and a couple of rolls of tape. I'm going to show you the CA glue method. It's one of my favorite methods, especially whenever I'm doing 3D carves. Stick with us. Okay, the CA glue method basically involves three components. We've got some painter's tape right here. We've got the actual glue. This takes about 30 seconds or so for it to dry and stick. However, if you use an activator spray, it will actually speed it up to only a couple of seconds, and then you've got a nice solid connection. The first thing I like to do is I like to take my tape and we kind of made it color-coded just to keep the whole process real simple. I'm going to get a general idea of where I want my stock. I'm going to run my tape so that it's on the bed. I like to use the yellow tape on the actual bed of the machine, and then I put the black tape onto my stock material. Once I got... Make sure that's as flat as possible. Once I've got the length, then I like to move the stock over, and then I can get the width. And it looks like I really only need to use about 2.5 slats on my bed. So I'm just going to cover the 2.5 slots. Now, before I switch, I usually switch to my black tape at this point. Yellow tape for the bed. The black tape for my stock. So I've got my stock material here. I'm going to flip it over and kind of put it right where I'm going to have it. That way, and I like to line it up with the edges of the slats whenever I go to press it down. So I'm going to kind of put it right there, and that way I've got a good idea of where to put my tape. Now the whole idea of this glue is you're basically gluing two pieces of painter's tape together, which makes it really nice because the painter's tape leaves little to no residue on your stock material or your bed. Means you can easily get away with using this method and having very little cleanup required after the carve. All right, now I've got my stock tape down, and I'm basically going to flip it over and I'm going to set it down just like this. Now before I do that, I'm going to kind of twist it over here. Now this is the timely manner. You want to kind of do this in about in less than 30 seconds, which is the time it takes for the glue to dry by itself. So I have already put cut a hole in the tip. So all I gotta do is just kind of let it spread it out. It doesn't matter really. Just kind of spread it out evenly. Go. There we go. Now remember, you got that 30 seconds or so. So I'll put that aside. Then I'll take my spray. Now I like to spray, this is going to smell a little bit, so you don't want to spray too much, certainly not in a closed up area. So we're going to take the activator spray, just kind of spray it down. Now take that quickly, bring it right over to your stock, or to your tape here. Kind of line it up. You got a few seconds to line it up. Once you've lined it up with the slat, for example, then just hold it down for a few seconds. And once that is done, your stock material is now solid. You're ready for a carve. Now I've got my G-Sender code here, and we're running this on the alt mill. I'll flip on my machine, and then I will connect to it through their software. Now, typically I'll see this, which is not a problem. Obviously, I click the unlock and it doesn't seem to be doing anything. So what I'd recommend is hit your e-stop. Give it a second. Reset the e-stop. And then click unlock. Then it will work properly from then on. So you got to do that e-stop right when you turn everything on so that it will actually function correctly and get rid of that alarm code. This has nothing to do with the VFD. This just has to do with the startup sequence. Another helpful thing I will point out is I do have our XYZ block here. Now this is a simple little device. It helps find the exact corner of your stock material using the spindle and a 1/4-inch bit on your mounted in there. I have got it plugged into the probe port of the super out mill, and I've also got a little adapter here which connects it up to a GX12 2-pin receiver port. So nice little adapter there. If you would like this, just reach out. I will provide you a link where you can pick that little adapter up, as well as the XYZ probe itself. Now I'm going to try to jump back and forth showing you the probe itself and the operation on the software side. I'm not really good at screen recording, so bear with me. I've got the G-Sender right here. I've already homed my machine so it knows exactly where the machine's 00 is. I'm going to move the machine over to the front left corner of my stock. All right, here we are. We're just off from the front left corner of the probe block. The block is in position on our stock material. We've got our magnet connected, and now we're ready to run our probing operation. We hit the probe button, and we see a red light because I've got the configuration for enabling the pre-test. So it's a good safety measure to have on there. So I'm going to touch the block to the bit to confirm that it actually makes conductivity there. The light turns green, and now we're ready to do our probing. So we're going to hit start probe here. It will move back to the X position, or back to the Y position. It will test the X, then it moves to the Y position, tests the Y, and now it knows exactly where the XY position of our stock material is. Now the next thing we need to do is I need to run the Z connection. So we're going to flip our block over so that it's face down, and we're going to put it right there onto the bed. Try to avoid putting it over any of the tape material or anything like that. Just kind of put it on a free, clear space close to your stock material. Move your probe, or move your bit over to it. Scoot it down a little bit so that it's just above the probe. Doesn't need that much of a distance, just a couple of millimeters is fine. Change the probing to axis to Z. I'm going to hit probe. Now it clearly shows right there on the screen to flip it over and put it basically right where I've oriented it right there. So, and of course, because we've got our test, we're going to need to hit the touch the probe to the bit to confirm that the green light comes on and it's actually making conductivity with the probe. Now, once that's set, the start probe button will be illuminated just like before. Hit start probe, it will come down, make its measurement, come down one more time just to confirm it, and we're all set. We have got the Z0 set at the bed. We've got our XY set right where our stock is. And if I go to XY, it will go right to my stock. We are now ready to run a carve. All right, now we've got our stock material all set. We know where everything is. I'm going to raise my Z up. Then we're going to throw our dust boot on there because we're running this ATC as an MTC, so manually tool changing. I've already got the bit that I want to use in there, and we're going to load up our very first Carve file. In this case, we're going to put it. Number one, roughing. So I've got my roughing bit here. We're going to run it right onto that position there. It's going to be about 10 inches wide by 13 or so inches long. Let's see, Carve code says roughing. It's going to take about 30 minutes to run the roughing portion of this carve. So we've got, let's see, make sure everything is set. Got my spindle on there, and we're ready to go. So I'm going to turn my vacuum on. It'll be really loud. I'll start the carve, and we'll watch it go on. Ready to start my finishing carve with my tapered ball nose bit, but I'm going to need to swap it out with my machine. Now, I should have finished my roughing carve, but my shop vac is a bit underpowered for our wide brush, and I don't have our narrow brush available. So I did have to do some minor cleanup by popping this off and doing some local cleanup as the carve was going on. But I've got my ATC in there. As you can see, the VFD is blinking, so now I can sit here and run my pneumatics enclosure using my MTC button. Pull out my roughing bit, put my tapered ball nose in there. That's all set. Put my my dust bit, my dust brush right there back into position. Now, I do need to rerun the Z offset. And actually, I'll pull this off so that I can run that. The reason being is this controller does not support ATCs at the moment. So there's no way to keep track of the Z offsets for each of the tools that I'm running. So I'm going to need to Z the new tapered ball nose bit, because it's not at the exact same Z differential as the roughing bit. Raise the Z up, put my dust poop back into position. So I'm going to load up my finishing pass now. I would like to point out that I did leave my chiller off, and I've got it right down there at the bottom. I did have that off the entire time it was running the roughing carve. The spindle is just barely warm, which is perfectly fine. I'll flip it on now, and it will run through get the coolant running, cool it back down to temperature, and it'll be perfectly fine. I will see you guys at the end. Okay, here we are with our 3D carve. It's all finished. Now I just got to take it off and do some cleaning up and some finishing on it. But what I like to take to get these CA glued pieces, the stock material and the finished piece here off, I like to get one of these strong putty knives. Yeah, the strong ones that don't bend. The nice thing is it's got a lip on it, and all you're doing here is fighting against two pieces of paint of the tape. So once you get that tape starting to release, it will the whole thing will kind of go right off. I already hear it now. There it goes. Looks like the black tape let go first on this particular stock, and all I got to do is just pull off the remainder of it. And there we go. So this is the very simple process I follow to make my 3D carves. I will now take this over to the table saw, do some trimming, then I'll come back with a oscillating saw or something like that to kind of cut out the rest of it. Do some sanding on the rough edges. Maybe do some minor sand, some smaller sanding on the little pieces inside to get that nice and cleaned up. And then, of course, lacquer or clear coat or stain, whatever the material is. Of course, this one, I really like this dark wood look, so I'll usually just stain it and leave it as is. But someone could come back paint various pieces or whatnot. But hope you found that informative. Hope you like the CA glue. Give it a try. It is my favorite method, especially for these 3D carves. I never have to worry about clamps because this thing takes care of it, and it's super easy to clean it up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below or reach out to us at support@PwnCNC.com, and we're happy to help. Don't forget, don't just own your CNC, dominate it.